to get your fix.
Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready to get your fix?
With the Wicks here on this beautiful Tuesday, June 7th, 2022. Welcome to the show, whether that's on Facebook or on YouTube. Quick, if you are on Facebook, do me a favor, hit the share and hit the like. If you are on YouTube, hit the subscribe. It would be much, much appreciated. So yesterday we had quite a bit of stuff, or quite a bit of things happening around the world of the National Football League, like the Browns signing restricted free agent running back Darius Johnson to a one-year contract, potentially looking for him to be their either starter in the future or their number two guy in the future. Also, tight end Dalton Schultz, he's not so happy with his current contract talks, and they've kind of stalled as of late, so he kind of skipped the rest of voluntary OTAs, but that doesn't matter because today, 12 teams had their mandatory minicamp open up. Those 12 teams we'll get to in just a few moments. What does this mean for a Deebo Samuel who's looking for a contract extension? Maybe a DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin. Don't know why I thought Tyler. Terry McLaurin, these type of guys that are looking for their contract extension. What does that mean for them? We'll dive into that briefly here in just a few minutes. Also, the NFL. Okay, we've talked about this in the past. They're trying to grow internationally, and they are continuously trying to do so. Some interesting things have been popping off from that whole scenario. The fuck's going on here? Got some dust flying around, apparently. Whatever. You get it. Okay, so we got that. They're continuing to grow internationally. Colts star Darius Leonard, linebacker, he had a little bit of a foot problem last year towards the end of last season. We'll talk about where he stands with that, what is looking forward, or what his future kind of holds for not only him, but the Colts organization, as well as, is Odell Beckham Jr. going back to the Los Angeles Rams? We'll find out, I guess, in just a couple weeks. Who knows? It's probably all speculation, maybe rumors, but we'll get to the bottom of it when the time comes. We'll talk about that to finish the show. So with that being said, are you ready to get your fix? So today, mandatory minicamp has opened for 12 teams around the National Football League. Those 12 teams being the Giants, the Patriots, the Steelers, the Lions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Green Bay Packers, the Indianapolis Colts, the Minnesota Vikings, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Los Angeles Rams, the San Francisco 49ers, and last but not least, the Seattle Seahawks. Now today is technically, I guess not really technically, but basically the first dates, or I guess first set of dates where teams are starting to start their mandatory minicamp. Now, mandatory minicamp is basically a minicamp, okay? It's in the title. 3 days. A lot of teams now are going to 2 days because it usually only takes 2 days of hard work and preparation to kind of see if everyone's on the same page with the playbook going forward for this season. And then if they feel like everything's A-okay, everything's dandy, they'll let them go the third day, or maybe they'll go maybe they'll go for the full 3 days and kind of just make sure everybody's up to par on what's going to happen this season, aka practice, game planning, preparation, schedules, playbook, all the above, basically. Everything you can imagine. That's what voluntary OTAs were for, and rookie minicamp was for, to kind of get the rookies kind of acclimated to what is going on nowadays in the National Football League. Now what they were used to in college and the high school level, they're trying to work their way up to actually being a professional athlete. So mandatory minicamp is a time where veterans come in of the team and they just sit down and have a quick 3-day rest or 3-day practice, I guess, of let's figure it out. Let's make sure we all know what we're supposed to do, our assignments, and all the above. So mandatory minicamp is started for 12 teams today, June 7th. A lot of them will be going from June 7th to June 9th. A lot of them will also start, I believe, like June 12th or June 13th and kind of work their way to June 15th or June 14th to June 17th. You get it. So there's a couple days here where there's going to be separation for some teams. Some teams start earlier, and I believe the teams that start earlier are teams with like new head coaches, new staff, or something like that, just because to kind of give them a head start on preparation. Like the Vikings, obviously we started rookie minicamp earlier, and I believe voluntary OTAs as well, just a tad bit earlier, just because we have a new head coach, a new system. We have to kind of get our guys ready to rock and roll when the time comes, obviously. So the only other team that has started and actually probably already finished at this point, well, should have finished at this point, was the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins had a very, very quick start to their mandatory minicamp, at least from what I've seen. I'm not sure if it's 100% true, but it was by the NFL or on NFL.com or whatever, where they started June 1st and June 2nd. I think that's the only 2 days they went. They had 2 days of practice. It went well, and then they kind of went on their own and don't have to report back to camp until training camp, which is about a month away or something like that. So, you know, we're getting closer to football, basically. So what does this mean for the 49ers? Well, we already know about the Deebo Samuel situation, in which, you know, it all started with him deleting all of his pictures that had a symbol or had a uniform of him wearing a 49ers uniform, basically, or him unfollowing the 49ers because he wanted a contract extension. He wanted to be paid like both a running back and a wide receiver because he obviously does both. We've seen it. We got to see it all last season, him turn into an unbelievable superstar, to say the least. I mean, the dude was an absolute freak of nature. I guess he kind of solely led his team to the NFC Championship game, and sad that their season ended, but hey, it is what it is. The Rams ended up winning anyways. But that kind of spiraled a little bit. Time kind of went on. Contract negotiations, at least from what we have been hearing, have not really made any progress. Until maybe now. Both Deebo Samuel and Nick Bosa have reported to mandatory minicamp. This is huge news for San Francisco 49ers fans because, like we talked about, Deebo wants a new contract. But he also wants to be a part of the 49ers. And he also only wants to be a wide receiver. And he wants that because at the running back position, you are taking brutal shots time and time again, whether that's from the defensive tackle, the defensive end, a linebacker, a corner, a safety. You will get hit by any one of those guys. But when you're a wide receiver, you might get hit by a linebacker. Might. Maybe 30% of the time. Otherwise, you're going to get tackled or hit by the corner or by the safety. Yes, there are safeties and corners out there that are absolute freaks of nature and can just disintegrate you, basically, after they hit you. I mean, we've seen it in the past with Ronnie Lott, okay? An absolute freak of nature. We got Harrison the Hitman Smith. Okay, he's named or nicknamed the Hitman for a reason. Ed Reed, you know, these people or these safeties have been around for quite some time that they can lay you out, all right, and put a big old dent in your helmet. That's just basically what I'm trying to say. And so Deebo knows that. And that's why he wants to be paid like a running back and a wide receiver combined if he's going to continue to play that role, in which he does not. He wants to play wide receiver specifically. I don't blame him. Don't blame him at all because, listen, running backs don't last long in this league. And if they do, they're one of a kind. Okay, I think we're going to see Derrick Henry do that, even though he got injured last year. Hopefully that doesn't start a kind of a downwind spiral of him, not being able to stay healthy, like Christian McCaffrey in back-to-back years, kind of getting injured after having 1,000 rushing and 1,000 receiving. Running back has become one of the most easily replaceable positions on the football field, I think, at this point. Just because you can find a dude for a season who's going to go off for 1,000 yards, and then the next season he might get injured, and then he's not the same ever again. You can just go find another one. You don't have to pay him the big bucks. But when you find a running back that has that longevity, that can stay healthy, it's like, okay, we got to sign him for 3-4 years. Let's give him $16 million a year, whatever the case may be, like a Dalvin Cook, a Christian McCaffrey, a Derrick Henry. We have to get that done. And Debo wants his money, but he is at minicamp. That's a massive upside or massive plus for the 49ers, because I believe with him showing up to minicamp, it kind of gives him and the front office, the owner, the GM, and the head coach Kyle Shanahan to kind of sit down and be like, okay, listen, this is where the contract negotiation is kind of ended. Where can we pick up? What are you looking at? What are you looking or seeking from us so we can kind of get a deal done here? And I think this is what these 3 days, or at least the end of these 3 days, will kind of entail for Debo and the 49ers. And at this point, if I had to guess, he's going to be a 49er. He's going to be a 49er for quite some time. Now, I don't know if a deal gets done, but they have till July 15th. And I think they'll get a deal done by that time because, as their owner said, you'd be a fool if you traded Debo Samuel, and we're not going to trade Debo Samuel. It's just not going to happen. He's going to have to either finish his contract out and walk away in free agency, or he's going to have to sign a contract extension in which both sides feel like is a pretty good contract. And I think that's what 49ers and Debo Samuel are trying to get done. So he has reported, as well as Nick Bosa, who is also in line for a potential contract extension as well. Now, the Seattle Seahawks, they have a situation, too, with DK Metcalf. Now, DK Metcalf's situation is a little different. He's still nursing some type of injury that he was rehabbing this whole offseason. He's going to miss the first day of mandatory minicamp. Now, it is excused. This is an excused absence for DK. Now, if it wasn't excused, you're losing a lot of money. And to break it down here, we have Field Yates on Twitter. He goes out and he says, missing out on mandatory minicamp without an excused absence is a costly financial decision with a maximum fine of $95,877 for 3 days missed. Hey, look at how it breaks down. So it says, unexcused failure to report to or unexcused departure from mandatory off-season minicamp, maximum fine per day for each day thereafter of player's absence. On the first day, if you miss the first day, $15,980. Bam. Out of your bank account, you're getting fined that. You're probably not going to get a first week game check. Sorry about it, okay? You missed. Second day, $31,961. That's a big chunk of change. And finally, the third day, $47,936. Now, if you miss all 3 days, $95,877 you are going to be out on. Now, I'm not sure if it's like, okay, if you're present the first day, but you're not present the second day. If you're not present the second day, is it automatically a $31,000 fine? Or if you're not there the third day, but you're there the first 2 days, is it automatically, a $47,000 fine? What's the case? I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure that's how it kind of works out, just because, you were there the first 2 days, you didn't think you needed to be there the third day. All right, pal, here's $47,956 or $936 coming out of your fucking bank account, okay? you should have been here. You were here the first 2 days. Why couldn't you show up the third? I'm sure that is how it's kind of laid out, but not 100% of the situation. But $95,000, damn near $96,000. That's ridiculous. I mean, that is. I wouldn't be missing mandatory minicamp if I'm anybody out there. Okay, if you're an athlete, if you're an up and comer, you're in the NFL, show up. All right, it's 3 days. You're going to be there for a career anyways. Why not show up for that? All right, it's plain and simple. It's written in stone. So, moving forward, the NFL has been trying to grow the game internationally. And this started way back, I think midway through the last season, where we talked about the international home markets, where teams basically have 2 international countries where they can kind of market their teams, like the Vikings with England, or London or England, I guess you'd say the UK, and another place, Tampa Bay with Germany, and Seattle with Germany, and all that over there. So they're trying to grow the game internationally, which I am all for. I think we need to grow this game as much as possible, kind of get all the talent from overseas here, especially if they're absolute studs, because there are a couple studs in the National Football League as we speak that are they are, okay, they're good football players. But they're continuously trying to grow the game internationally. And at my sports update, Ari Mirov of Pro Football Focus actually went on Twitter and said, the NFL continues to work on growing internationally and will conduct events in Africa later this month. This will include a talent identification camp and a flag football clinic. Now this kind of goes right back to where I said we have some studs in the NFL from different countries. Well, players of African descent including Uchenwa Nwosu, okay, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and Kwity Paye will attend. Kwity Paye, second year in the NFL. Uchenwa Nwosu, I believe he's a rookie. And Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, I believe this will be his second or third year in the NFL as well. So young talent, superstars. They're going to be, or the NFL is going to be holding a little clinic, a talent identification camp down in Africa to see what type of talent they have over there. And if there's good talent, there's going to be a way for like a program I'm sure the NFL will have set up to kind of bring them over to the United States, maybe play college football here, or maybe just straight from there, bring them to the National Football League, get them a tryout, have scouts kind of go over there and see how everything's kind of happening over there. But I'm glad that they're doing this because the game, needs to find a way to grow. It needs to find a way to become better and find better athletes, because the world is only getting, we're getting lucky basically with athletes, because athletes are getting bigger, stronger, faster, more agile, you name it. The average athlete is miles better than what the average athlete was like 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, to say the least. The athlete every year is just getting better and better. You hear all about these guys coming out of high school where they can, ambidextrous thrower, perfect spirals, can throw 70 yards on a dime. It is just incredible what athletes are able to do now, especially with the science or modern science, being able to stay healthy, having the right diet, the right training, and all that stuff kind of plays a factor in that. And it'll only continue to get better, and I'm pumped that the NFL is kind of trying to grow the game internationally and will continue to do so. I'm sure with this African little talent identification camp and football clinic or flag football clinic, I'm sure this won't be the last. I'm sure they'll probably do it in other countries as well, like in Germany, because Germany has a football league of their own. You look at Canada, they have the Canadian Football League. You look all the way around. London would have one, or the UK would have one. So I think the NFL, this is kind of just a start. They're kind of, putting their toes in the water, seeing if it's cold or warm. And if it's warm, they'll fucking cannonball right in that pool, okay? So that's what the NFL is doing. I'm pumped for it. We need it in this day and time. So moving forward, this past season, Colts star linebacker Darius Leonard was dealing with a little bit of a foot problem. Now we've seen this during the in-season, Hard Knocks in-season with the Indianapolis Colts, where basically he'd go out there, he'd play a football game, he'd go to practice Monday, and be in the most pain he's ever been in his life. By Tuesday, okay, pain was at 10 on Monday. On Tuesday, pain was at about a 7, 8 or 7. Okay, still hurt like hell. Still had to get it taped up. Couldn't do much with it. All right, we'll sit up. We'll do as much as we can. Day 3, it was more like a 4 or like a 5 to the 3 range in pain. Getting better. Can have a little bit more flexibility in that foot. We're good. We can just have to tape it up. We can do a little bit more work with the practice team or the in practice, I should say, during practice. And then by day 4, which is their off day, completely fine. All right, perfect. We're back, 100% normal. And then we get to game day again. Hey, some cortisone shots. Okay, let's get this thing going. Toradol, whatever the case may be. I don't think Toradol's allowed anymore, actually. So cortisone shots. Let's get this thing ready to rock and roll. Just because I know it's gonna be painful. Let's get through 4 quarters, 60 minutes of absolute hell. Let's do that. Tape it up. We'll be fine. And repeat basically every single week after. Well, he had surgery this offseason to kind of repair that problem. So we have a little bit of an update from Zach Kiefer, who I'm not sure who he is. I should probably looked at that, but I know he's a smart dude. Okay, he's a top guy. He knows his stuff. He goes on. He says, update from the Colts on star linebacker Darius Leonard. No second surgery on his ankle. Okay, but he has been having back issues that require surgery. Okay. Operation is today. Now, Darius Leonard already went into operation, came out. He says he's doing just fine. Thanks for the thoughts and prayers, blah, blah, blah. We'll be back sooner than ever. Zach Kiefer goes on to say he'll miss some camp time, but the team's expectation is he's ready for the regular season top to get that Lombardi. And then Ari Mirov of Pro Football Focus goes on. He says Darius Leonard underwent back surgery today, and he'll likely be sidelined into training camp per head coach Frank Reich. Expectation is he'll have more than enough time to be back when the games matter, a.k.a. the regular season. Okay, preseason, nobody cares about except for me. I like to kind of dabble in that to see how these rookies are for every single team, especially the Minnesota Vikings. Like, hey, is Andrew Booth Jr. worth a damn? All right, that's kind of what I would like to know. Let's figure that out. Let's see if Lewis Scene's worth a damn as well, okay? They call him the Sledgehammer for a reason. Let's keep that nickname, all right? We'll try to keep that going, but I like preseason, which if you don't already know, the preseason schedules have been released. You can find them on Instagram. You can definitely find them on Twitter. That's where I found them. We're not going to talk about that, okay? You want to see them, go find them, all right? It's preseason. I just know the Hall of Fame game takes place August 4th. So that's just a little over 2 months away now. Actually, a little under 2 months away. Pumped for it. But Darius Leonard seems like he's going to be fine by the time regular season starts. No second surgery on his ankle, so that might be fine. But he needed back surgery. Got it repaired today. He's out of surgery. He's ready to rock and roll. Now it's the rehab process, and we'll see him back come time when the games matter. And last but not least, is Odell Beckham actually going back to the Los Angeles Rams? It's a very real possibility. So Sean McVay this weekend was finally able to get married because they were supposed to get married a couple other times, but then COVID kind of put a little stop to that, so they had to delay it, and they had to delay it again for some other reason, but they were finally able to get married. Now, Odell Beckham Jr. was actually invited to that wedding. And Sarah Barshop on Twitter says, Sean McVay joked that Odell Beckham had an organic free agent visit with all of the coaches at his wedding on Saturday. Sean McVay says, I said, you stay away from all those other coaches, okay? Don't go bothering those other coaches, all right? He knows the expectation is you come to the wedding, you sign with the fucking Rams, okay? You come to my wedding, you're Los Angeles Rams, whether you like it or not. We'll get the deal done. Sounds like Odell Beckham Jr. is on his way back to be a Los Angeles Rams, and I think that is where he belongs. We've talked about it many, many times on the show where we believe, or I believe, John believes, Y4, who's a guest on the show whenever he's available, that Odell Beckham Jr. is a high-market player. Like New York Giants, was a superstar. Goes to Cleveland, not really a superstar. Goes back to the Los Angeles Rams, becomes a superstar, should have been or could have been a Super Bowl MVP if he did not tear his ACL. Bummer. It happens. It's football. But I've also said at the beginning of this free agency that I expect Odell to go back to the Rams because that is where he belongs. A high market value team. LA. Okay, you can be a superstar, get paid the big money, and be you, basically. And that's what Odell Beckham Jr. is. Now, this is a joke. Okay, this is a joke. He was joking, Sean McVay, but at the same time, it very well could be serious. So with that being said, jeez Louise, that is all I have for you guys today. Not much happening in the world of football. I have got to get off, though, because I am going to be joining Mark Davison on his Steelers Iron Cast here at 7 o'clock. I believe the episode will drop Friday or Saturday, one of the two. We'll get full details after that. But I will be joining him for a quick 20 to 30-minute little guest showing. So I'm pumped for that. I cannot wait to see what kind of questions he asked me, and it's going to be a fun time. I cannot wait to do that. So with that being said, go enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the weather. It's beautiful out, all right? We'll be back here tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time, like always, to talk about what just happened in the National Football League. Might not be anything, might be a lot. Who knows? Okay, contracts need to get done. Injuries might happen. Hopefully that's not the case. We don't wish that upon anybody, but it's a very real possibility. So until then, have a great rest of your night. We'll see you tomorrow, and you just got your fix with the Wicks. Deuces, folks.